But what is interesting is to see the mass resignations that have been going on over the last couple of years as the heat turned up.
All right, mate. Now, what have you got there on the little? Hey, I have noticed that the Edge logo has fallen off the computer.
Yeah, one of my kids wanted to use it for something else.
Oh,
they wanted to use it. Dad, can we use that? So I said, yeah, sure. I'll get another one. So
we're going to refresh that.
I was doing marketing for the next generation for you.
Love it, mate. Love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Really interested in this next story. Klaus Schwab has resigned as the World Economic Forum chairman.
What a tragedy this is.
Well, we'll deal with the facts and then we'll analyze it. He has been, of course, the long-term chairman of the World Economic Forum. He emailed his staff last Tuesday announcing his intent to step down. And the email indicated that he's led this since 1971 and is moving to a non-executive chairman role.
Yes.
Okay, so he's still in the game.
Of course he is.
He's still playing it. And his kids are very much involved in the organization as well.
Seems a silly thing to say, but the way the man dresses, right, shows his absolute lack of any idea of the real world and the imagery that he may create and the image that he might be portraying.
Well, let's not judge them on the personality. Let's judge them what they stand for.
Okay, let's do that.
You look at their website and what they stand for. They're very open as to what it is, the agenda they're trying to get, the Agenda 2030. It's interesting. This transition is apparently awaiting approval from the Swiss government, and that's interesting. In some ways, it doesn't surprise me because a lot of not-for-profits have to be regulated or to operate within the confines of a government or body and organization. So when there is a changing of the guard, there is a process for that to occur. Of course. There is that in Australia for trustees of foundations and that sort of thing. But they've got to complete that in their annual meeting in 2025. That's when they're anticipating that going on. But there's some commentators that say, look, it's really just a shuffling of turning the heat elsewhere because he's still going to be on the board. He's still going to have a role there. You're just going to have somebody else at the helm and doing that. And what was interesting at the last World Economic Forum is you were hearing them even admit that, we're not as well respected as we once were.
No.
That was a big admission for what they were doing. And a lot of people are questioning the whole organization.
And so they should, right? And you know what? You should question things like the existence of NATO, why it still exists. You should be asking a lot of things, even like organizations like, I have zero faith in organizations like the Red Cross, right? All of these organizations have been around a long time. They fit under that not-for-profit. Well, they're not-for-profit for shareholders, but they sure as hell are for the staff there, right? Okay. These organizations are, generally about control and certainly about hiding tax.
Well, I think a lot of it's been, put all the money aside, I think a lot of it has been about who is this unelected body to dictate to the rest of the world how it should be run. And I think that's been the big flag for many people waking up going, if you want to do that in your own country, that's one thing.
Sure.
But you're not doing this. You're trying to roll this out internationally.
Yeah.
And this has been this guy's legacy of 50 years since he formed that organization.
That's right.
So, that's a long lifetime to give to this cause. He obviously believes in it. But is it serving humanity? And I think that's the real question. You've got to look with the not-for-profit.
Well, look, it's just not. And okay, this may sound like a strange little tangent here, but I've got a different opinion on this. I am a motor racing fanatic, as we all know. I absolutely love my motor racing. All right. Now, I watched last night the Monaco Grand Prix, okay, the crown jewel of this, all right? And I, by no means, ever begrudge anyone making a living. I do not begrudge anybody being financially successful. But I now see the Formula One Grand Prix there in Monaco very differently. I see the fact that I see these ships out there, and they are ships, okay, that have staffs of 50 people to actually look after them for one or two people who own them. Okay, I see this just waving wealth and control in people's faces as people not that far away from them haven't got clean water, and I see a big look. I just see the cross between now a lot of these people seem to be so involved in the World Health Organization, in the all of these, these non voted for, entities. There seems to be this massive amount of controlling wealth that is involved in, who are at Davos, and it makes no sense to me. That why are these incredibly ridiculously wealthy people involved in world politics to the extent? Or hang on, could it be self-advantage? I don't know.
Look, the Babylonian system is based on greed and self-interest.
Yeah,
right. Greed will make people do pure evil stuff when it's really captured their hearts. Right.
Sure.
The extreme greed, the extreme self-interest. That's where it goes wrong. Right. And that's what we're going to go. I have no issue with somebody owning a private jet. I have no issue with somebody owning a private yacht. Okay. Yep. And a lot of those yachts, let's face it, are hired out.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're business.
Yeah.
They're business carriers. People want to live in it's like a 5-star hotel versus a 6-star hotel, right? A lot of people want to ride in the 6-star hotel. Okay, fine. They're going to pay top dollar for that. Yep. So there's that business side of things that I think we've got to recognize. And if people can afford that, they want to watch the Monaco thing, I have no issue with that. I think it's what you do with that money that's the biggest issue, right? And there needs to be, when there is true wealth, we call this show the greater wealth.
Yes.
There's a heart of generosity.
Yeah.
Right. If it's in your power to help the poor, right? Help those who are less fortunate. And
that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have no issue with these people having this great wealth. Good on them. Like, fantastic. Yeah. What you have to do. But I do have an issue with the fact that they are not. I see so many people who are controlling politics or trying to influence the way the world runs, and they're totally disregarding the great majority of the earth. And you could do so much good.
And I think what you've hit on is the humility of having wealth. That is the key, right? If you've been blessed with great wealth, there needs to be a humility about it, recognizing one, where it comes from.
Yep.
This is a problem. A lot of people brag it's by my hand and my might that I've done this, right?
Yes.
And it should be, God's given it to me.
Right.
And I need to be a good steward of it. I need to steward it for humanity, because you can't take it with you.
You can't take it with you. You're going to go in the same size box.
I've been to many, many funerals in my life, and I've never been to one where they talk about how much their bank account held over their lifetime. What they talk about is how did they serve their community, their family, their loved ones. What did they contribute to the world to make it better? That's what lasts. That's the values that go through.
Nobody said on their deathbed, gee, I wish I'd spent more time in the office. No one. Okay. So again, wealth is a wonderful thing if you wish to pursue it. But I think that the term greater wealth, I think that is far greater than dollar and cents.
And I think we're also talking about power, and we're recognizing that power and wealth are connected. And
yes, they are.
And that is true, because wealth can give you choices. And there'll be choices that if you didn't have it. So if you don't have money, you're in survival mode.
Sure.
All you're doing is think about how am I going to pay that next bill? How am I going to get through today? How am I going to put food on the table? That's not a way to live either.
No.
Okay, so we go to the other extreme. There is a balance there, but how can my wealth serve humanity?
Yeah.
How can I basically get to a point where I am a servant? And this is where I think we've missed it as a society. Those in power have become ones who try to rule over the rest of the population.
Correct.
Rather than be ones who serve. Now, this is the difference. We're going to love him or hate him. Donald Trump could have disappeared very easily and retired on his golf courses in Mar-a-Lago and had a wonderful retirement, right? But he hasn't. He has put it all on the line and said, I want to make this country where it should be. I want to drain the swamp. And he has risked his entire, one, reputation, two, his entire fortune. I mean, look at what the bail was to get him out, 430. Now, I'm not here to say, hey, vote for him or anything like this, but I'm saying this. He didn't have to do that choice. No. And all the lawsuits that have been coming against him, the resilience, I do admire the man's resilience.
It's remarkable. I've never seen someone so stoic under so much pressure.
So you can see the difference and the contrast between those who want others to serve them versus one who wants to serve others. And both have different size bank accounts. And I think that's what we've really got to look at, compare and contrast those two differences.
I thoroughly agree. And when it comes on the Trump subject, when he came into power, or actually when he was, campaigning original, first time round, I thought, oh man, I thought he's going to be such a problem. I did believe a lot of the hype because I had an opinion in my mind of what this man was. But what I've seen in the last 8 odd years is, wow, he might be annoying, he might go about himself, he might tell some mean jokes here and there, he might have some strange speech patterns, But the fact of the matter is, he actually does want to serve the American public. He actually does want to make America great again. And like when you've got someone like Biden who goes out and they're saying if people wear "Make America Great Again" hats, that these people are effectively domestic terrorists. He's used terms very similar to that. In fact, I believe even
labels.
Yep. Yeah. Hang on. How is wearing a symbol to say how proud you are of where you live, where you've come from? Well, not even where you've come from, just where you live. That should be something we celebrate, right? But yeah, not in his eyes.
It's been a fight for power. I've always, somebody once said to me, Derek, don't listen to what people say, watch what they do.
Yep.
And so when Trump went to power, that was something I did. And I repeated it to others, that get past his rhetoric.
Yeah.
His bombastic ways of expressing things. Get past that and look at what he's actually doing. Look at the policies that he's actually passing. What is he actually doing for this country? The United States has been in a long recession before he got in.
Yes.
Right.
True.
People were struggling. People were struggling to put food on the table and this sort of stuff. And it's come out now that if the Democrats had got in at that time, I mean, you would have had Hillary Clinton as president at the time, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of information that's come out about the Clintons and what's been going on in terms of their role in politics. And so you've got to think big, get past the news headlines, the little 30-second grabs. Question.
Couldn't agree.
Always question someone's behavior. Why are they saying that? What is motivating it? Why would they do that? In all of these political grabs, why are they doing this?
Well, yeah. And as I say, I get to the conclusion when it comes to Trump that he's doing this because of actual genuine pride in his nation and a desire for other Americans to have that dream and be able to have the ability to build on that dream. Whereas I see the other side as a lot of LLCs and a lot of personal wealth and a lot of personal power.
I think it's been interesting to watch a lot of the Democrats jump ship to the red. The blue,
no doubt about it.
And I'm not saying that the Democrats are bad, or in terms of all Democrats are bad. I mean, I'm sure there are very genuine people who work in the Democratic Party. I would say that there's probably some people who shouldn't be in the Republican Party,
no question,
that aren't doing the right thing. But what is interesting is to see the mass resignations that have been going on over the last couple of years as the heat turned up. And you've got to ask, well, why is that? Well, generally, people resign when they're in positions of power. One, because somebody else is telling them you are going to resign or else.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Or secondly, that there is something that, and I'm not saying this is in every case, okay? There are genuine resignations where people go, I'm tired, I want to go retire, I want to hang up the hat. But when it's en masse like this, then you've got to go, well, what's the other reason? Is it because they're trying to get out before something's exposed? There are numerous reasons why people resign, and especially when power is involved.
Absolutely. On that, I'll finish on this. There is not a single state premier here in Australia who has not retired since 2021. So none of them are still in power. Lots of resignations. A lot of people just got tired all of a sudden. Yeah. All right, mate. With that bombshell, let's call it a show. What do you think? Let's get into a bit of music, mate. Get out of here. It's been a fantastic show. I've really enjoyed it. In fact, I'll be very happy to keep on going, but we've got things to do.
The music awaits.
The music awaits. It's Edge Radio Australia. It has been the greater wealth. Thank you very much, Derek, for being. Any last thought, mate, before we hit the button and fly off into the sunset?
Question things, question the mainstream narrative, question our narrative, question for yourself, ask lots of questions. Be the kid that I was in school. Why, miss? Why is that happening? Why? And you might think, I'm causing ripples here and rocking the boat a bit. Yep. You need to question and ask, why are people doing what they're doing? What's the motivation behind it?
Love it, mate. All right, that's Edge Radio Australia, the greater wealth.